But while I was at the gym, you need a little bit of hate, mad, angry, mad, pushing heavy weights, right? You need something to get your energy up to help you push that weight, and you're like, fuck you, right? That's what you need. You need a little bit of that energy. And so the way I got it, kids, is I was listening to, where's my little pointer here? Um, the first of hour of 2 hours of this shit. So this is the Jeffrey Epstein interview that was released in the recent tranche. It is 2 hours of a Jeffrey Epstein interview that was done by Steve Bannon. I might add, and this makes the entire case for what I was saying before, of the 12 to 15 hours that were allegedly taped in all this. Also, there's a lot of little weird gaps in it. There's a point where he changes shirts. It's all from the same session, but somehow, even this video, it kind of reminds me of another Epstein video that was heavily edited when it was supposed to be released in full. The one that was supposed to show clear as day that he died in his cell, just like Bongholio said, and it showed no such fucking thing. And as a matter of fact, it was the only camera mounted in the place that wouldn't see something. Okay. And it was also blurry, and you couldn't even tell if it was Epstein if you squint. That was the whole point. There's a bunch in this video, and like I said, there's a lot of it that he jumps around. You can see there he's in a black shirt later on. He changes clothes. He changes glasses. At one point, Steve Bannon even notices this at some point. I don't know, like he left the room when they cut, whatever. But I would like to play a little segment of it. I have not finished it. I still have another hour at the 43-minute mark, where one of the big things that they've been pushing out. And by the way, let me visit with the chat room for 1 second. Love you guys. Hit the like, share the show, super chat, bits. If you're on Facebook, it's a great way to support the show. Patreon.com/AlSparks. You can do annual subscriptions. You can do all kinds of stuff. I do not put anything behind a membership or a paywall, so you're just supporting the show. It's not because you get secret stuff. It's not because and especially in context, like obviously I give comedy shows that are not related to the content I do on here as a perk for the Patreon folks. Like next Flapper show is ended this month, and it's going to be awesome. I'm doing a special a month, ladies and gentlemen. For this year, I am going to, instead of just wholly, freeballing it as I have been for the last couple of years at the show, I am going to create a show for each one about a week before, with some stuff that I've written around the topic, and then the rest of it will be improvised, and I'm going to basically build it as a special every single time. Different topic, different stuff, no overlap, always walking the tightrope, and free to our patrons. And anybody who's in the Patreon club who's in the LA area and you want to come watch a show, it's you and a guest for free at any of those shows. Plus, there's going to be some Nerd Halen dates coming up. That will also be a thing where patrons can come for free and bring a guest. So it's worth it. I'm just saying. But I will not put the content of this show, what I talk about politically, philosophically, any of that stuff, I'm not going to put that behind a member wall. I will not do it. I know Midas Touch, I'm sure, makes a bazillion dollars doing it. I know TYT's been doing it forever. I think it's wrong. I think it's morally wrong. If the idea is there's truth to be had and truth needs to get out, why the would you put it behind a paywall? So I'm not going to do it. And I know it's going to hurt me financially. I know it softens my financial impact in this or whatever, but I don't care. What I say and what I talk about on the show matters, and I believe it should get out. And therefore, why the hell would I go, okay, that was the first half hour. The next is only available to our, to people who pay for it. No, that's not what this is about. If I'm selling tickets for something, people can pay for that thing because it's a special thing and it's only limited, by the venue size and stuff. But this is a goddamn internet. So I am not going to do that. Not ever. Never. Just saying. And so those of you that support the show and are patrons and stuff like that, I want to say thank you 100,000 times. And I also would like anybody who isn't able to support the show through the Venmo or any of that other stuff that people do. If you can't do that, at least thank the people who super chat. Thank the people who gift the show. Thank our mods and all that kind of stuff, because I am not going to do that. I'm not going to just do this as a cash grab ever. Okay? So, February 2nd, so we're going to show us book. Yes, there's a little bit of Bongholio coming up. But I want to show you something first. One of the big things that's come up about the Trumpstein files is the fact that Trump and all of his flunkies have been throwing around Bill Clinton's name for quite some time. That he was very close to Jeffrey Epstein, and that they were very close and also close, and that he and Ghislaine went swimming or something, and that what he's been engaged in is as hinky as any other shit that's been going on. All right. Now I want to play something from the Bannon interview that he did. Thank you so much, Fred Bear. And everybody give everybody a big round of applause when they super chat, if you could, in the chat, just because I'm going to keep doing the show, and sometimes I see it, and sometimes I miss it, and I apologize. Now, like, subscribe, share, etc. But in this, Bill Clinton comes up in the conversation, and wait till you hear what Jeffrey Epstein says about Bill Clinton. He blames him for 2008. Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein thinks 2008, the crash, was Bill Clinton's fault. Yeah. Well, you'll see. He blames him for creating the concept of subprime, meaning that the standards for loaning was set for rich people, and poor people getting a loan that's technically subprime, which also applies to fucking members of the military and all kinds of shit, is the cause behind all of it.
Been in jail.
Went to jail June 30th.
So the entire summer.
Yes.
Before you went into jail, you were still very active in the financial markets.
Yes.
When I say active, you trade currencies every day?
By the way, the dude is awful. He's creepy. And Steve Bannon is arguably, in some cases, worse, because he is just teeing this fucker up. He's helping him prepare for this 60 Minutes interview, and this is part of his rehab thing. And this entire video, which he talks about why he was in jail a couple of times, but mainly it turns into a TED Talk about, it's almost like Steve Bannon's asking him for financial advice most of the time, for at least the first hour that I've heard so far. But listen to this.
You trade stocks every day. When people,
I don't do anything.
Someone like you, or you give advice to people to trade stocks or trade currencies.
I don't trade every day. I think that's, like Woody Allen said, it's
interesting choice of quotes.
You can't beat the bank. So I try to pick my spots. George Soros picked his spot when the pound collapsed. This would have been
He arguably helped the pound collapse. He didn't pick his spot. He did it so heavily that he caused the crash he was going to profit from. So fuck George Soros for the same reason. And his hobgoblin Steve Bessent.
Great money-making opportunity that passed me by when I was in jail, but that's not how I think.
In the run-up to that, in the spring of 2008, that's when Bear Stearns got in problems, I think, in the spring of 2008, and they decided to bail it out. Did the Bear Stearns guys talk to you for advice at that time when the big crisis in Bear Stearns?
No, but see, again, unbeknownst to most people, and it's easy to blame people for the financial crisis, like you'd blame someone for giving your father the drink before he had his heart attack.
By the way, he's using this analogy on like somebody has a heart attack. There's a bunch of reasons. Acutely, they put heart attack on your death certificate because that's what you died of. And if you look at 2008 crash, people will put derivatives as the reason that the crash happened, but it was a systemic failure, which had nothing to do with his time at Bear Stearns and the kind of shit that they pulled there.
What really happened, the real enemy of the finance system was Bill Clinton.
All right, this is in the fucking interview. Like, this is when Bill Clinton comes up. Jeffrey Epstein's thoughts about Bill Clinton. Listen to this.
And if you ask me what and who caused the financial crisis, I would tell you it was Bill Clinton.
Because of what Bob Rubin and he did to deregulate the financial system?
No. Because as of the last time we had our 60-minute interview, you talked to me about home ownership. And you asked me whether everyone should own a home. And I told you, no, it's too risky.
Okay, by the way, he's one of these assholes, and it shouldn't be any surprise, that he thinks the average person is to blame for 2008 because they got in over their head with loans they couldn't afford to pay or whatever. Never mind the fact that the vast majority of people that caused the cascade in this that had to do with home ownership were people that had stacked multiple houses and didn't live in them themselves. They were actually the renters in these cases, and not the people who were on the edge of being able to borrow, because those are the people that lost their fucking job because there was no liquidity and because a bunch of companies had to fire a bunch of people, and those people lost their houses, and that cascaded. It wasn't that they were acting poorly or behind or any of that shit. It was that everybody was gambling on top of the fact they couldn't pay. And then when that gamble failed because of the Armando Montalongo assholes of the world that would buy a house, take an equity loan, use that equity loan to buy another house, take an equity loan out of the house they just bought of an equal amount and buy another house and another house, and they had all these houses, and like fucking dominoes, if they missed a payment on the first one, they all fucking went, which is exactly what caused the cascade. And these were all subprime loans because they were leveraged on other money, but not because somebody didn't have a job. It was because their only job was sucking up real estate and stacking them like a fucking game of Jenga with missing pieces.
So the financial collapse of 2008 is because of hardworking African Americans, Hispanics, and whites who wanted to have a ownership stake in the society that all rests on their shoulders. They're the culprits.
No, not at all.
Okay, then
I didn't say they were the culprits. I was pretty clear it was Bill Clinton.
Okay.
And why was it Bill Clinton? Because Bill Clinton wanted to get votes from those people. And he sold them the idea that instead of renting in a house, and historically the values of houses have gone up, and he said, you guys in these local communities who haven't been able to afford a house before, I'm going to show you a way. I'm going to give you a way because I'm sure I'll get your vote.
Listen to this motherfucker. Think about what, like, the supposed closeness of him and Bill Clinton in all this. And when push comes to shove, when he's being asked by Steve fucking Bannon about this, he's like, Bill Clinton caused the 2008 crash. Not the gambling assholes in the FinSec world that were taking those loans and then like effectively just gambling on them in giant like packages, like envelopes that surrounded all these. Put your loan, which you were fine with, in with somebody else's that wasn't fine, like the Armando Montalongo assholes who were buying these things hand over fist. Put them in the same bucket. Because you didn't have great credit because you worked a menial job for a long time or whatever, but you were completely reliable. You just never got the down payment. So you needed a lower down payment, which is what made it subprime, not the fact that you couldn't pay your fucking bills. And then these other guys who are stacking these houses upon houses upon houses. And again, like flipping them, like basically like using fucking car jacks to shore up the foundation to get them to code. And then renting them to people that, by the way, were like that rental money coming in was lower than the mortgage payment of the area, so it would make it more so that people could rent in an area that was arguably safer, but they were on the edge financially. So they might go, okay, I was here for a 6-month, 10-month job, but fuck it, I'm out because I'm just renting. Then that house is now sitting empty. And if nobody's moving in because that job is gone, because that's how the cascade of this problem began, it's just going to sit empty, and you've got no money to pay the mortgage on it with the rent you were getting, which was in some cases higher than what the mortgage on the fucking place would be. And that means you got no money from that one to pay this one, and no money from both of them to pay the one behind it, which has, and then the interest rates would climb towards the last house. Like house number 1 might have a 4% interest rate on it. House number 8 would have like a 12% interest rate on it. But if you're making 15% on the fucking rental that's in it, or you're able to roll the equity because the neighborhood's going up some, or you're jockeying those two things. Like, okay, I keep rent prices up high or whatever, and then the interest rates in the area, and I could borrow money at this kind of like deficit, and this deficit gives me money to spend on buying another fucking house, which is what they did. And then they packaged those loans in with veterans and like working class people who had just bought their fucking houses, and they were making their loans. They didn't lose their job until this shit hit the fan. So fuck this guy.
You can own a house because I want your vote. So what we're going to do is I'm going to let you buy a house, Mr. Bannon, when you really, you're right on the border, maybe, or not even on the border. Your credit is not good. Okay, let's be honest.
You mean like Donald Trump, who was able to buy like his way into multiple buildings and apartment complexes and all kinds of shit like that? You mean that kind of bad? Like multiple 6 bankruptcies and never a mark on his fucking credit score? Get the fuck out of here.
And it's not my fault, it's not Bill Clinton's fault, but if whatever happens, at the moment your credit score or whatever it is, your credit's not good. Now, normally, you come to me and want to borrow money, I'm a bank, and I say, I'm sorry, Mr. Bannon, I can't lend you money because your credit score is not up to where it needs to be. Hopefully, if you work harder and clean up some of your problems, it will be.
Yeah, 15 years from now. And you can play by the rules all 15 of those years. Meanwhile, Donald Trump will have 3 bankruptcies in that time.
But no, what I say to you is I'm going to figure out a way to lend you, not give you. I'm going to lend you money anyway, though you don't have a good credit score. And don't worry, I'm going to get rid of the term that you don't have bad credit. Bad credit sounds pejorative. You don't want to be a person.
Sounds judgmental.
Yeah, sounds judgmental. So what we're going to do is we're going to call your credit situation subprime. Oh, nobody knows what that means. Subprime. That means prime is good credit.
Brilliant. I could see why people turn to this asshole. Where did he fake going to school again?
Subprime is not good credit.
You mean, and then there's subterranean prime, which is what Trump's actual credit score was, but it didn't stop Deutsche Bank.
Less than good credit. So we'll call it something that people really won't follow. And we'll tell you what.
Like the banks don't fucking know the difference. Subprime created a category, but it's not like people went, oh hell, I don't have bad credit. I'm subprime now. Let me go get one of them subprime loans. Get the fuck out of here.
You're going to have people lend you money, though you are a subprime borrower. And
like they did with Trump and all these assholes.
I will figure out some government agencies to guarantee your loan, though I don't think you're a good risk. So the banks say, no, no, no. We don't want, initially, the bank said, sorry, this is too risky, Mr. President, for us. We're in the business of managing risk. It's not our money. It's the hard-working people's money sitting in our bank. We can't lend to people whose credit is not prime. You're asking us to lend to people who are subprime.
Right, not bad. Qualifying on a bunch of reasons. But they're not criminals. They're not people who've gone bankrupt 6 fucking times.
And he says, here's the key, if you don't, Mr. Bannon, I'm going to make sure the Justice Department charges you with discriminatory lending because you refuse to lend to my subprimers.
Right. And what he means is black people. This is him going, this is all these black people were allowed to take out loans they couldn't possibly pay. That's what he's saying here. This is just old-fashioned racism stacked on top of this shit.
In business terms, you should never lend to. But what we'll do is I'm going to form an agency.
I would like to tell you, this man is a convicted pedophile and an avowed, proud hebephile. And has, I suppose, like, Steve Bannon is asking him questions about the cause of the 2008 crash. And he's blaming Bill Clinton.
Called Fannie Mae and Ginnie Mae, just another agency names. They'll guarantee your loan. So don't worry.
Kind of the way Deutsche Bank did with Trump shit.
Don't worry.
I'm sorry, how the Russians did with Deutsche Bank shit that Trump got.
You don't have to pay it back anymore. Even though you, and maybe you don't even have to work as hard anymore. That's probably a harsh statement, but these players, these two big firms, Fannie Mae, will guarantee the fact that that bank will receive its money. Now, the bank says, wow.
We do that with countries all the fucking time. What do you think we just did with Argentina?
Best deal in history. I refused to lend to Mr. Bannon, but now he has the big brother, his Uncle Sam. He went to his Uncle Sam, and Uncle Sam says, I'm guaranteeing it. The bank says, I want everybody. Give me as many people as you can give me, because Uncle Sam is the best credit in the world. Not only it's the United States government. We'll take it all. We'll take as much subprime.
Yeah, and this had nothing to do with the crash. It wasn't that they took a bunch of it. It's just a bunch of guys were like taking out insurance bets on whether it would get. Anyways, this is fucking stupid. I can't even believe I'm getting caught up in the actual redressing of 2008 with this motherfucker. But I wanted to point out, and this is, I still have another hour of this shit to go through, but this stood out to me amongst other things that, like, Bannon's just buddy with this asshole. That this whole, like, Bill Clinton's on his tip or whatever. And again, you guys know, as Democrats and the like, we're like, if Bill Clinton was engaged in any of this shit with Trump, fuck him. Bye. Bill Gates, any of those guys. If they were engaged in this stuff, done. Forever, no problem. Like, I have no, like, the stuff that Clinton did while he was in office that I agree with is a policy that still lives and lived before him in the Democratic Party. So it's not like, oh shit, without him, we don't live that way. And it's something that the Trumpies don't understand, because that he's such the Messiah to him. That's why they think, like, we think of Obama not as a quality man and a quality politician, but as a sort of a godlike figure. It's because that's them projecting onto us. And if any of these motherfuckers were caught in some awful, like Trump has with Jeffrey Epstein, like, we don't have an issue jettisoning these dickheads. But maggots sure as fuck do. Anyway, so I'll do the rest of that as I go forward. Now, Trump said something like he's going to sue Trevor Noah because Trevor Noah made a joke or some shit, which is currently his own version of lawfare, right? And Peanut Butter Dickhead and crowd are throwing themselves in front of the bus for Trump again. There's Vinny with his new haircut and Peanut Butter Dickhead. And they're there to defend Trump about the fact that Trump says he was never there, and how dare Trevor Noah make a joke about him. Hold on, let's go here.
I heard this recording, Vinny, that you and I were talking about a few minutes ago.
Yep.
It's a recording of Epstein sitting down with Ehud Barak, who was the former prime minister of Israel.
Yep.
And they're having a conversation about what to do and how to make money. By the way, the amount of stories and the list of names.
Also, there's Ehud Barak was probably the closest guy to Epstein that wasn't Donald Trump. Donald Trump hung out with Jeffrey Epstein only slightly more than Ehud Barak did.
People that are on this.
Even Les Wexner didn't hang out with him that much. He had business dealings with him, but he saw him on rare occasions because he had his own thing going on. He could get his own victims, clearly. But he would dip his foot into that area. I'm choosing foot for obvious reasons. But in the case of, like, Trump and Ehud Barak, I'm curious about that tie between him and the Kushner family and all that kind of stuff coming up. I'm sure Candace Owens will get down that rabbit hole somewhere.
It's endless. Okay, it's endless. Rob, do we have a page with the names of people that are on it? There it is. The famous names in the latest release of Epstein files, Wall Street Journal. Okay, Wall Street Journal. So let me go through this.
And Pat, while you're doing that, if you think about it, he's sitting with Ehud Barak and having dinner, and I don't think Ehud Barak knows that he's recording everything, because that's what he does.
Oh, no question about it.
Me?
By the way, I want to spend time on that.
Why would you think Ehud Barak wouldn't know he was recording everything? Unless he caught him in this or whatever. But the idea is that Trump knew, and the question is not who he recorded. The people he has pictures of, a lot of, or recordings of, a lot of, are the people he was probably taking from. The fact that Trump was as close to him as he was, and there aren't these kind of recordings so far that we know of, means that Trump was more in on it and a fellow traveler.
But prior to that, let's first kind of talk about who's on. Rob, is this WSJ, Wall Street Journal, the video clip that you have? Reporting on that article. Go for it.
Outrage growing as new details emerge from the millions of newly released Justice Department records on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. They include Epstein's messages with powerful men. In these messages from 2013, the convicted sex offender connecting New York Giants co-owner Steve Tisch with various women. In one exchange, Tisch asked about a woman writing pro or civilian. In a statement, Tisch acknowledging
Pro
a
or
brief
civilian?
association where we exchanged emails about adult women, but saying,
Yes, hookers, sure, but still.
I did not take him up on any of his invitations and never went to his island. As we all know now, he was a terrible person and someone I deeply regret associating with. And amongst the thousands of photos, these never-before-seen images of former Prince Andrew, who was stripped of his royal titles last year over his relationship with Epstein. Now seen here, crouched over a young woman, her face redacted, the date and context of the interaction unclear. Representatives for Andrew have not responded to a request for comment. Now, even UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is calling for Andrew to testify, saying, I have always said anybody who has got information should be prepared to share that information in whatever form they are asked to do that. And new information unearthed on what exactly law enforcement knew about Epstein's crimes, including this stunning prosecution memo and draft indictment written nearly
Hey, look, whose name is that? Alexander Acosta, Trump's labor secretary.
2 decades ago. Across 45 pages, prosecutors in Florida detailing disturbing evidence they gathered against the financier, calling him, quote, a continued danger to the community based upon his continued enticement of underage girls. But that 60-count
All girls are underage.
indictment never filed. Instead, Epstein landing a now infamous deal allowing him to plead guilty to lesser state prostitution charges.
Bannon asks him about it in that interview, but more in the context of like, isn't it weird you were making like financial calls using the phones at the jail? You know, did you ever think it was fucking weird that you were, your life had led to this where you're calling Bear Stearns as it's collapsing while you're in jail?
For which he served just 13 months in a Florida jail. Some of Epstein's victims now furious with the Justice Department.
Gee, I wonder why.
Saying many of their names were left unredacted and exposed in this latest release.
And by the way, Vinny is completely fine with this now. All that shit about him, like, I don't give a fuck who's involved, fuck him. It was all air. It was all bullshit.
Epstein survivor Charlene Rochard telling me the Justice Department has once again violated their privacy.
I have seen things that relate to me, and people I know have not been redacted at all. Their full names are out there, and especially Jane Doe's are fully out there. And they asked,
you can pause. Okay. So, by the way, that is one of the things when they release this, you're going to have a ton of lawsuits. You're going to have a ton of, watch how many people are going to be suing the U.S. government.
Sorry, the U.S. government, not Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and the Justice Department and Donald Trump, just the government in general. They're probably just going to sue the FDA while they're at it.
Vinny, which one do we want to go first with?
These motherfuckers will never, they'll never volunteer saying Trump's name except to excuse him or avoid it.
Let's do this. So first of all, yesterday at the Grammys, Trevor Noah said the following joke about the president, and I want you to know how quickly the president reacted to this after the joke. Rob, I texted it to you in the morning. If you want to look it up in the text, Rob, when I texted everything this morning, you see it?
Yep. Man, like a well-oiled machine over there. You can tell this is $1 million operation.
Want to put a thumbs up?
I have to look for shit like this, but I'm by myself. I would feel like such an asshole if I was like yammering at Mr. Producer, like Mark Levin.
That one right there. If you can pull that up. So this is Trevor Noah at the Grammys.
Oh, the badge PDB is wearing is his own image, which, by the way, just looks like the MGM fucking casino logo.
You know, he's trying to pull off a Ricky Gervais, which, by the way, he fell very short because Ricky Gervais probably hands down the best one ever when he said, this is the last time. I don't care. I don't care anymore. I never did. You know, all that stuff that he did. Noah's trying to do something like this.
They all do.
But he does this joke about
It's all become a roast. We get it.
Epstein with the president and Clinton. Watch this. Go ahead, Rob.
Grammy that every artist wants, almost as much as Trump wants Greenland, which makes sense. I mean, because Epstein's island is gone, he needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. So, I told you it's my last year. What are you going to do about it? That is a great.
Okay, so that's then. I'll go back one, Rob. This is the president quickly tweeting, the Grammy Awards are the worst.
In a panic.
Virtually unwatchable. CBS is lucky not to have this garbage litter their airways any longer.
Just the Grammys. Just having the Grammys. I think it's too many black people are getting awards for talent and stuff. That's what bothers him.
Trevor Noah, whoever he may be, is almost as bad as Jimmy Kimmel at the Low Ratings Academy Awards. Noah said incorrectly about me that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton spent time on the Epstein Island. Wrong. I can't speak for Bill, but I have never been to the island nor anywhere close, and until tonight's false and defamatory statement, have never been accused of being there. Not
okay. By the way, let's state a couple things really obvious. One of the reasons why he wouldn't have to go to Jeffrey Epstein's island is because he never lived more than a mile away from Epstein's house. So Jeffrey was able to bring the island to Trump. He had his own facility in the United States, and he was near enough to Epstein's where he could go over there, which he did. He went to Epstein's house. Epstein came to his place, both in New York and in Palm Beach. So the idea that he needs to go to the island to do any of this shit is silly, because there's a lot of awful that happened in the States. The Epstein Island was not the only place they were victimizing people by far, especially the vast majority of it happening in terms of like Lex Wexner and the Look of the Year competition, and when Trump and Copperfield were hanging out. That all happened in New York City. They were going out on these little boats, off the, like these ferries essentially, and bringing these girls out there, Eastern European girls, and who were probably watching their passports being thrown into the water while they were on the boat. And so the idea that he's like never been. The other thing too is it's an unfalsifiable. He can say, I never flew to the island. A lot of people will say that. There's no runway on the fucking island. You took a boat or a helicopter, and more than likely because Trump doesn't trust helicopters, because oddly enough, one of his partners in his casino died in a helicopter crash coming back from Atlantic City to New York at a very crucial time. And so he probably avoids being in helicopters in general for that reason, but he certainly would take a boat over there if he wanted to, but he wouldn't have to, because St. Thomas is where Trump has a property. And again, it's the only place he's listed as not visiting his own property. And considering if you had a building, if you had a hotel or a golf course or something in the Virgin Islands, you'd go. You know what I mean? If you're talking about getting some air and enjoying the weather or whatever, you'd go there before you'd go to my beloved Scotland.
even by fake news media. Noah, a total loser, better get his facts straight and get them straight fast. It looks like I'll be sending my lawyers to sue this poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC and suing him for plenty of money. Ask little George Stephanopoulos and others how that all worked out. Also, ask CBS, get ready, Noah. I'm going to have some fun with you, President Donald J. Trump. Now, keep in mind, while this is going on,
Trump is telling his Department of Justice to redact even the 3 million files they released, or the 3 million documents they released of the 6 million files, which is a larger portion of, meaning that the 3 million that came out is actually about 5% or less of what's in the actual files themselves. A page of something. Again, I pointed this out. The ACA is 3,000 fucking pages. But if I release one page from the ACA, you couldn't fucking vote on it. But I could say, if you don't know how many are in that file, you can assume I'm releasing half the stuff. if I release one page of that, and you just have to assume, I guess, that there's only one other page in that file, right? In the ACA. It must have been a 2-page bill, right?
This is one thing CNN was forced to do with the president a while back. Rob, I'm going to text this one to you as well if you want to pull it up. CNN was forced to post this, and Dear Abby did a great job explaining this. If you guys know who I'm talking about, she's a sweetheart.
She's awesome.
Rob, if you want to pull this clip of CNN and Vinny, I'm coming to you right after this, and you pick and choose what direction you go.
Okay.
On Epstein, I'll adjust accordingly.
Let me guess. It's that Trump is totally innocent, and in his 25 years of being Jeffrey Epstein's wingman, he had no idea. And how could he be expected to know?
So this is CNN. Okay, when this was posted, Abby had to explain this. Okay, it'll come up here in a minute. Just press play. CNN forced to post the truth and how Trump banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago for being. Watch this.
From Mar-a-Lago often made house calls to Jeffrey Epstein's home 2 miles away. But those house calls, quote, came to a halt in 2003 after an 18-year-old beautician returned to the club from a house call to Epstein and reported to managers that he had pressured her for sex. The HR manager faxed Trump a letter suggesting that the club ban Epstein, and Trump agreed, which does mirror the president's own public comments about why he cut ties with Epstein. The White House is responding to the Wall Street Journal, right?
No. No, he was still connected with him after that. We now know that from the files.
No matter how many times this story is told and retold, the truth remains President Trump did nothing wrong, and he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep.
He cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein long before Epstein became a convicted sex offender. A lot of Democrats didn't, and it is corroborated by the Wall Street Journal tonight.
There you go. So he wanted to make sure he got the facts straight. So, by the way, you know, people are saying a lot of different things. There's a lot of stories. His name is also in it. You'll see it in a few different places. But nothing's been, Vinny, matter of fact, I'll turn it over to you if you want to take it from here.
Okay, so, I mean, as you know, the weekend drop of everything, there's 6 million, what they drop, 6 million or drop 3 million, whatever.
3 million of the 6 million.
How much?
3 million of the
3 million
6
of 6
million.
million. And
No. 3 million of an untold number of millions from 6 million files that they allege they have.
obviously, guys, everybody's dumping stuff online and all the there was so much that I couldn't even send the Rob because I know that we can't show it. Epstein, there is one of him chasing little girls around this table, Rob, and it's all redacted. It's him with a little kid in a pool that has floaties that can't be more than like I don't even hear the audio because you can tell that these are children that he's chasing, and it's like you just saw her little dress right there. And by the way, those are not his children, FYI. And a lot of people, it's not vindication, Pat, but for how long we've been saying there's something dark that these elites have been doing, okay? They serve a different master than we do. And when I say, Tom, we had this conversation.
Yes, Trump is one of those people.
About a year ago, we have our rituals. We pray, incense, church, communion, we have ours. What do you think they're doing, okay? They do it behind closed doors. They do it on private islands, and sometimes they do it in plain sight. Pizzagate, as much as everybody thought everybody was crazy for bringing this up, Pat, and they tried to dismiss it, if you look at the evidence with the people involved and the paintings that they had in the house and their connections and what they did and their Instagram posts, it's clear, okay? And then
No, it isn't. You're drawing inference from it. Whatever you think is clear of what they were doing, it's equally as clear in terms of Trump and Epstein, and you are actively, specifically engaged in protecting him from responsibility in this circumstance. That's what Vinny's job is here. That's his whole thing.
one of these documents I came across was from 2019, Rob. It's the sacrifice one. And it said a purported Epstein victim telling agents about ritualistic sacrifice, witnessing babies being dismembered, their intestines removed, and individuals eating the bad part of the intestines from the...
Is there a good part of a child's intestines to eat? What the fuck?
From the intestines. And the FBI
This is in the emails?
This is...
And by the way, this is something he obviously dreamt up in the mid-2000s, you know, while he was listening to too much Linkin Park or something like that. Not something he'd been, if he was engaged in it at all, his entire fucking life as he's been a power broker, especially when he was an arms dealer after he left Bear Stearns, when he became friends with Donald Trump via Roy fucking Cohn.
In the email, I think Rob has it, and it says one of the FBI agents, and by the way, these are all DOJ legitimate documents, said, I didn't realize Bush blanked him too. It's the R word that I don't want to say. And he said, okay. And then if you guys remember,
Bush Sr.
Bush, yeah, it said Bush 1. And in 2009, a 21-year-old Mexican model, Gabriela Rico Jimenez, she ran into the street screaming, like they're eating people. It's like these elites are eating people. And by the way, she disappeared and she went
Yeah, these are all events that happened allegedly during the time that Donald Trump was really good friends with him and said he was a lot of fun to be with.
after this. So mind you,
This one.
this is the one. Do you guys remember this? They thought she was crazy.
¡Comieron humanos! ¡Asquerosidad! ¡Comieron humanos! Yo no estaba enterada de nada. Que había, o sea, de los asesinatos sí, pero que habían comido humanos. ¡Humanos!
She disappeared after this night. So, and now I'm going to move on really quick to Bill Gates, Pat. And I want to be clear. What I'm saying, these are documents released from the Department of Justice in these files. These are allegations, but nonetheless, there's 2 drafted emails in July 18, 2013 that were written by Jeffrey Epstein to himself as like a draft, okay? In these drafts, Epstein alleges that Bill Gates had sex outside of his marriage.
Yeah, this is the Boris, what's his name, writing it as Epstein's executive assistant.
With women he describes as Russian women, and the Gates caught an STD, and then Bill Gates asked Epstein to get antibiotics so Gates could secretly give them to his wife Melinda without telling her what they were for. And then one draft claimed,
Why the fuck would Bill Gates need this? I mean, I get it, but why would he turn to Epstein to get fucking penicillin or amoxicillin or whatever he's treating? Bill Gates is a multi-billionaire. You think he can't get his hands on some fucking antibiotics? That's weird. Now, Epstein obviously wrote this to manipulate Bill Gates or to scare him or some shit, and it might have been even in conversation that they talked about this, but the idea that he would need to do this is odd.
that Bill Gates begged him to delete the messages about the STD, the antibiotic requests, and other graphic details. So there's also a separate draft written, like a fake resignation letter from someone named Boris, which people believe it was Boris Nicolait from the Gates Foundation. In that draft, Epstein complains about being pulled into things that cross moral and legal lines. It included helping Gates get drugs, dealing with the fallout from those encounters, setting up secret meetings with married women, and supplying Adderall for bridge games despite not being a doctor. So if what these documents allege are true.
Who else do we know that uses Adderall off-label and is famously known for taking Adderall and benzos in combination? Famously in front of people on, I don't know, a television show set.
That would explain why Melinda Gates said, I can't be with him anymore because of the relationship with him. And this one was really interesting, Rob. There was an email from...
And getting half of his money, which more power to her.
2017, Bill Gates and Jeffrey...
Because kind of fuck Bill Gates. Bill Gates bought QDOS, the quick and dirty operating system, from a dude for $50 and sold it as DOS and made millions upon millions upon millions of dollars basically as a poser in the tech world.
Epstein, in that email...
And one of the reasons why Microsoft had to bail out Apple during the Gil Amelio years is because without Apple, they had no R&D at all.
Gates is discussing working with Epstein on a pandemic strain simulation. Okay, think about that. It wasn't a casual conversation. It shows that Epstein still had access to Gates' personal operation, which was BG.
And it's weird that Trump actually is the guy who turned gain of function at the Wuhan lab back on as soon as he got in office. Obama shut it off, and Trump okayed it after he got into office. Maybe he was on Adderall at the time and just was feeling crazy.
C3, which later became Gates Ventures. And this is what's crazy, Pat. Epstein was already known as being the sexual predator, pervert, whatever. And then think about this. This is...
Yeah, almost the entire time. Again, I ask this all the time. Maggots, we have to have some maggots in the chat. Maggots, where are you? Tell me a story. Okay, maggots, explain to me how long it would have taken you to figure out Jeffrey Epstein was a pederast or a pedophile or a hebephile or whatever your favorite word is. How long? More than a year? More than 2 years? More than 5 years? 8 years? Would it have taken you 8 years? 10? 13 years? You think you would have figured it out in 14 years? 17 years? Would it have could you have figured it out in less than 17 years? 18 years? 20 years? After 2 decades, could you have figured out that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile? 22 years. Well, that's weird because Trump was friends with him for 25 years. And longer, we obviously know now. But even his admitted time as being his friend, 25 fucking years. Let's hear it, maggots. How long would it have taken you to... And by the way, not as somebody who tangentially flew on his plane or went to a couple of things, had his suspicions, but never saw him with a younger girl or whatever. Donald Trump partied with this motherfucker for decades.
2017.
Hold on.
After this email, and Rob, it's at the bottom of that. I think it's number 5. Go there.
You mean in 2017 when Donald Trump invited Epstein to the White House for New Year's?
Strain
Secretly?
pandemic simulation.
Allegedly, I guess.
This is what tripped me out. A year and a half later, event 201 happened, which was a pandemic simulation where leaders played, coronavirus outbreaks and all that stuff.
Which is not weird at all. If you're a leader, that's what you would do. That's not the odd part. The odd part of him being involved is what the fuck does he know, except math and strategy is how he tried to weasel his way in. That's in part of the interview that he does with Bannon.
And how the media respond. Guess who organized this event? The World Economic Forum and the Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation.
And who did Donald Trump have at the White House earlier this year? Bill Gates. And where did Donald Trump fly specifically to talk to? Unlike any president in the last, I don't know, when the fuck was the last time a president spoke at the World Economic Forum? We usually send reps, maybe. Certainly industry people go. Trump carved out time, baby.
That's insane to me that they were talking about this, the pandemic, and then it happened.
And then Donald Trump went.
This one, Pat, was a Steve Bannon interview when he asked him, "Are you the devil?" Look at how uncomfortable he is, and I believe this ends the interview. Am I right, Robbie?
Mm-hmm.
Can you please play this one?
Told him,
I
told him the devil,
100%.
the devil
himself.
The devil himself said, "I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life."
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question.
Sorry.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember, the devil is somebody
the devil
knows.
smart?
The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost.
No, the devil scares me.
Satan is at the.
Bannon's awesome at this. I can understand why you would hire this guy to be your media coach.
Number 1 or 2 archangel, and the reason he goes to hell and leads the rebellion is because he can't be the top guy. And his thing is, I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven.
I saw that in a movie once called American Dharma. I don't remember who said it. Okay, we have to go.
Boom.
Okay, good.
The devil question got him out. So from everything that I saw, it corroborates all the stuff that we've always heard of what these people are doing. Again, it's allegedly, but
right. And what it also corroborates is that Donald Trump was friends with this guy, and they flew on each other's planes for decades, you dipshit.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
And, well, not according to Trump, he's not disgusting. He's a lot of fun to be with. I mean, he's a creep now that he's dead, but when he was alive.
And I'm so happy that it's all coming out. And they tried to get Trump on, everybody was like, oh, Trump did this, Trump did that. There's an affidavit from Katie Johnson, which has been publicly available since 2016 and was dropped because she was mentally ill.
Yeah, as a rape victim often can be classified as, especially with massive abuse like that.
Drug addict who made up the entire thing, and the rest...
No. She was a terrified woman who, as a young girl, was very possibly raped, and her rapist was now the president of the United States. That's another way of looking at it, I'm just saying. And would terrify anyone. That's one of the reasons why you would pull those things, because this is a guy who got elected saying, I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and if she was a 14-year-old girl I'd had sex with, nobody would care. And in his case of describing this, he would be right.
to the accusations
about this asshole, anyways.
came from 2020 to 2021. Weird. I wonder why those 2 years. But this is deep, Pat. And the fact that Nicki Minaj's tweet,
because he was out of office at that time and he was running for office again, and people felt like they had an opportunity to get him out of power and that he wouldn't be able to harm them. And of course, during COVID, a lot of people were like, fuck, deathbed confession time.
yesterday, did you?
What year was the Calendar Girls accusation?
I think the Calendar Girls accusations, Robbie, were they 2020? 2021, they surfaced. But
They surfaced. To you?
The allegations that came from random
Trump he bragged about this, the Calendar Girl stuff and his beauty pageant shit on Howard Stern.
people. Some came from Australia, calling into the NTOC, which is the National Threat Operations Center, and SDNY tip line. These people are posting allegations, but edited out the most important part, which said on the right side, Robbie, if you go to the other one, on the right side, keep going down.
Oh, speaking of edited out, this is the document that was pulled, and then the DOJ put it back up because people had already seen it, and they were like, oh, shit.
Is this the one that I sent you?
Hold on. Let me pull that
It says, in all these cases, the information was deemed secondhand, invalid. The entries are detailed calls made to these hotlines. Pat, anybody could just call and leave a tip, and they had to document this. So that's what it was.
If you're watching this, if you're cold like we are, and you want to wear a sweater, you just...
Oh, motherfucker. This asshole's selling merch.
Don't know what you want that sweater to represent. We have options for you, okay? We have an entire section because of the...
Jesus Christ. That's what you want to... That's a nice switch out. This is worse than Bill O'Reilly's hawking fucking gold. Good Lord. And notice how all the stuff that's brought up in those tip lines and stuff that's around the same time about, I guess, Clinton and other people, completely justified, completely real, undoubtedly the truth, and we always knew it. They were baby eaters and Pizzagate and yada fucking yada, but not a word about Howard Lutnick. Not a word about Donald Trump hiring Alex Acosta, the guy who gave him a sweetheart deal in the first place, and Howard Lutnick, who fucking lied about his interactions. Bald-faced, obvious lies. And that came out in this same tranche of documents. And not because of shit that's in the tip lines, but shit that was actually in the paperwork. Shall we take a look at that again? We talked about that this morning. About how, Nutlick, let's see, conversation, yeah, this one right here. This motherfucker. The guy who was like, my wife said, you're never going to spend time with that guy again. And this was a long time ago. In 2005, we're never going to spend that disgusting man, right? Never going to be in the same room with him. Meanwhile, President Trump's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, said in an interview 4 months ago that he and his wife had decided in 2005, and that's also the thing, that he and his wife decided. Instead, why didn't you just say to your wife, I'm never going to be in the fucking same room with that asshole ever again? His wife and he decided, which sounds like it was his wife's idea, which sounds a lot like Hegseth saying, I'm never going to drink again. My wife and I decided. Sounds like your wife laid down the law and decided in 2005 to never be in the same room as the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein with their one-time New York City neighbor. And in this mayor, that he bought this house afterwards. Everybody on Peanut Butter Dickheads podcast thinks that that Lutnick moved in and then Epstein became his neighbor. It's the exact opposite. Epstein was already there. He owned the trust that owned the house that Nutlick bought. Okay, 2012, the couple, along with family, was planning a visit to Little St. James. According to a trove of new files released by the Justice Department on January 3rd, one of the emails released as part of the Epstein files indicates Nutlick's planned meeting on December 23rd, 2012. This is after he spent time in jail for being a pedophile. Epstein sent an email, please forward to Howard Lutnick. Nice seeing you, which means they apparently made the trip. An email dated the 21st from Lutnick's wife, who currently serves on the board of the Trump Kennedy Center, which they shut down. I don't know if you guys heard that today, but it's been shut down for repairs because nobody wants to fucking go. Seeks to coordinate a visit to the Longtime Island. This is Allison Lutnick, the woman who decided with him they would never be alone in the same room with him. Probably what she meant in New York or in the city or where there are cops. In an email to Leslie Groff, who also needs to fucking testify, we will be coming from Keneal Bay in the morning. We are a crowd, 2 families, each with 4 kids, ranging in age from 7 to 16. 6 boys and 2 girls. I hope that's okay. She says the families are traveling on a yacht called Excellence and asks for a good time to meet for lunch. Would 1 or 1:30 for lunch work? Letnick did not immediately respond to an email from USA Today saying he can comment. What a fucking shock. Letnick, former chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald, was once Epstein's next-door neighbor. Their ritzy Upper East Side townhouses shared a wall. But during a podcast interview with New York Post Miranda Devine, the woman who wrote all about the non-existent Hunter Biden laptop, hey, where the fuck is the laptop? Chat room, who's got the laptop? Anybody? Who's got the laptop right now? I know it's floating around out there somewhere. I mean, now that Kash Patel's taken over and stuff, you would think that would be the one thing they'd be like, here it is. We fucking found it. Have they? Yeah, you guys got it. Okay, good. Pass it around. Make sure it's safe. Yeah, Patui had it last week. I know that. Karine has it. Okay, cool. And Water Goddess, you're sharing it together. Excellent. Anybody notice that? Anybody else notice that as soon as Biden's out of office, it's vaporware now. It was always software, right? It just doesn't fucking exist, right? Wasn't found. There's no, we found the receipt where they had it in evidence and now it's gone. We looked on the shelf. Here's a picture of the shelf where it was sitting and it's gone now, right? None of that shit. Not a drop out of these assholes about the non-existent Hunter Biden laptop. I said years ago on my show, when all this shit started, you guys will recall, I typed out, I was like, there is no Hunter Biden laptop. Feel free to at me. I think, the only person who jumped on this. And I was like, feel free. Bring it. Let's see this fucking thing. God knows the guy who apparently worked on it never did because he was legally blind. He could not tell you the difference between Hunter Biden and Don Jr. if they were standing more than 20 inches from his fucking nose. But this guy is their key witness or whatever. And I said it doesn't exist. Now you would think that once they got in office, and this has been a complaint from Liz Wheeler and all these dipshits at the Blaze, where are all the indictments? I fucking agree. Where's the goddamn laptop? Where is it? I'll tell you where it is. It never existed. It was never a thing. And if you looked at it, again, there was a hard drive called laptop that people were like, we looked at the laptop. I did this with the whole fucking Washington Post article, how we verified Hunter Biden's laptop. Well, you never fucking did. You got a hard drive from Rudy Giuliani's Axeman titled laptop. You have never, you can't title a fucking hard drive elephant and go, I have an elephant. You fucking pricks. And it's never going to come out because it never existed in the first place. And I'm standing on that, and I win. I'm just saying, I'm declaring victory. There is no laptop. Never was. Fuck off. End of story. Miranda Devine wrote books about Hunter Biden's laptop and all the stuff that was on it. All of it real, all of it verified. Horse shit. And she did an interview with him. Miranda Devine did, because she works for the New York Post now. And even the New York Post was like, what laptop at one point? And she's just laughing her way through this interview with Nutlick about this and like, oh my God, what a crazy experience running into this guy. Wasn't that wild? All right. Meanwhile, if Hunter Biden was sitting and goes, yeah, I went over to his house and he told me this story about massages and my wife and I decided we're never going there again. She'd be like, I don't buy it one fucking second. All right. Anyways, he called him gross, claiming his wife decided to stay far away from him. He said when the couple moved into their newly renovated townhouse, Epstein invited them over for coffee. He said he took him in the big living room. I assume it's a dining room. We watched this video earlier today. Watched the morning show. It was awesome today. I just want to say thanks again to Cliff Schechter and John Fugelsang for being great guests this morning on the morning show. And he gets really close to me and says the right kind of massage. And he goes, in the 6 to 8 steps it took for them to reach their residence, which, again, I wouldn't emphasize just how fucking close you lived to Jeffrey Epstein. The couple decided they would never be in the same room with him socially, for business, or even philanthropy. And meanwhile, the wife, and is like arranging a lunch because they're on a boat and nobody will ever be able to track it. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross, Nutlick said. And then said he was a pervert. Did they see it and ignore it? She asked. He goes, no, they participated. Anyway, how other prominent men could have associated with Epstein when Lutnick could immediately sense he was a pervert? Did they see it and ignore it? She asked. No, they participated. Meaning Donald fucking Trump. Howard Lutnick, liar that he is, states the obvious to cover his own ass. And says, no, they participated. Meaning, there is no fucking way Donald Trump didn't participate in this stuff. That's what his MO was. You know, get a massage, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assumed, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. Blackmail people. That's how he had money. That's Howard Nutlick's read on the entire thing. But Vinny and everybody at Peanut Butter Dickhead, they're like, no way. This is all, they're just being cruel to Donald Trump. He couldn't have possibly known. He kicked him out for being a creep. Fucking stupid.